You have learned much, young one.
Megtooth sabers requires a lot of work on engineering, drilling, smoothing, tapping, setting, imagining, cutting, stripping, twisting, dipping, tin it, pin it, wire it, fire it, lock it, cast it, swing it, bash it. Megtooth sabers.
Can you hear me now? How about now?
That's going to give you all double audio. We don't want that. Okay. Well, I'm going to have to do all that over again. That stinks that we didn't have audio. Sorry about the audio, guys.
This is a nice teacher, but it doesn't sound very clear. Having said that, the tool found not too certain. I'm talking to you to a nurse teacher, and the nurse teacher is not very clear.
So, we decided to ditch the voice changers and create a system that had pre-recorded character sounds, which is MiCom.
Right next to me. Join me. Come forward. Stand here. I don't answer to you. As you wish. You have strength and determination. You will serve us well. The First Order will see to that. Do not be deceived by the Jedi. Control your thoughts, or I will do it for you. Excellent. Good. Enough. You may leave.
So that's
Your
basically
skills would be of value to us. The First Order welcomes you.
that's basically the MiCom. So it's pre-recorded lines that are designed in a way where you can interact with the public on a troop. So hopefully we've got sound back now. I'm sorry, Melissa and everybody else. I was away from my computer screen where I couldn't see it, but I'm getting ready to show y'all a bit. Stand by, let me get it queued up. And I'll bring y'all along for that ride. I was already on Windows Share, right? All right, well, let's bring you along for the ride when we're trying to get to Fernando's YouTube video. So I meant to have this already pulled up, and I did have it pulled up, but I guess I turned it off. That 263, search the internet, there he is, bada bing. And then I want to show this blade demo. And we want to skip through the commercial. We don't want y'all watching that. And hopefully y'all are seeing that. Make sure, yeah, y'all should be seeing that. And hopefully y'all can hear it.
What's coming with battle mode? Really, it's just getting everything ready for alpha testing, getting all the code cleaned up. But it'll be available soon. As soon as it's available.
So this is the battle mode that Fernando's working with that I wanted you guys to see. So check that out while I'm changing scenes.
YouTube channel and throughout Facebook. But I just wanted to let everybody know that I have added drag and melt. They are now gesture controls. When you're in battle mode, they both depend on stab instead of clash. And that's just to give you more freedom if you are really battling. So I just wanted to let everybody know it is coming. I've had some questions as to when. It should be this week. So we're just finishing touches on it, get it into alpha testing, and I'll let everybody know. So definitely something to look forward to, but I think just for realism and responsiveness and immersion, I think a lot of guys are really going to enjoy battle mode. I'm excited about it, and I can't wait for you all to see it. So as soon as it's available, I will let everyone know. Thanks.
All right, coming back to you. So, let me get the right screen pulled up here.
All right, I've finished up my
And
Jedi
get
Fallen
rid of
Order
desktop
hunt.
audio.
Mic back on. Should be able to hear me again. Oh, Lord have mercy. Let's come back over here and go back to the scene. And we'll get y'all there in a second. So hopefully, I don't know, hopefully the sound showed on that video. But I want to show y'all how these MiComs work and basically what they consist of. So let me get the amp out of the way here for a second. And I'll plug it back in here in a second because I'm actually going to show y'all a different MiCom unit. So this is the MiCom base. This is the MiCom, what it looks like. It's connected to a 10 wire that goes to a button board that you wear on your hand underneath your glove. And it attaches to a USB power source, which is all very simple. So I'm going to plug in the USB power source. And I'm actually going to bring out a different MiCom. And I can't read y'all's comments yet, so bear with me. I'll have to be playing catch up when I'm done with this, because then I'll be back over at the bench so I can talk to you guys. Stuff's going flying all over the room. Because when I lost sound, it kind of sent me into a backstand trying to get everything ready to go for you guys. I didn't expect that. So I'm going to plug the MiCom unit in. And there we go. I got power. I got my green light on. And now I'm going to plug my amplifier in. to the port. So the amp plugs in here, power plugs in there. You got a green light to show you that that's working. And I've got it plugged into my Acre amp. And then this is a different camera. So this is kind of going to show you what we got going on.
Take your place. I have been expecting you. No. As you wish. You would do well to join us in our destruction of the Rebel Alliance. Do not underestimate our reach. If you betray us, we will find you. Your allegiance is acknowledged. Rise and go forward to give service to the Empire. I sense that your loyalty is not with the Empire. Serve the Empire or be crushed. My patience wears thin. Perhaps it is best for you to see to your responsibilities.
And then this one has a breathing loop on it. Now, this is the current version of the MiCom. So right now, as part of the Proffie OS 5.x development, we're working on hopefully an advanced form of the same unit that has more capabilities. That's what we're hoping for. And I'm trying to get caught up a little bit on the comments, but that's MiCom. It's very small unit, fits underneath the costume. You get pre-recorded sounds, but they're designed in a way, and the buttons are designed in a certain way. That's come here, stand here, no, yes, you're on our side, you're an Imperial, you're a dark side guy, or you're a rebel, scum, go away. And then this is you may leave, and then the last trigger is optional. But we have Chewie, Jawa, Darth Vader, Boba Fett, Mando, Kylo Ren is what started this whole thing. And it was really a frustration with voice changers. There's all kinds of zoom stomp pedals and all kinds of crazy stuff people are doing, and none of it really ever hits the mark. When you're in a helmet and you've got a mic in front of your face, you get reverberation going around, and the sound quality never really works out. But the MiComs are laid out so the very simple communication that you have on a troop can be played through that MiCom. So now, Israel, I got something for you today, which I didn't have a chance to email you before I went live, but bam, it arrived, and there she is. And I got even better news. So on this 89 Sabres, let me take that off. Dang, that was supposed to be a secret. Look which chassis works. And I already have one. I'll email you some details about this chassis, but the Knight chassis will work in the 89 Sabres, so that's pretty cool. I'm going to loosen that clamp, put her back together, but she arrived, she's in good shape, it's pretty Sabre, it's awesome. We'll set it up and get it looking good for you. So that's for Israel. That's an upcoming project, should be going shortly. So let me get back over here to the workbench where I can see you guys a little bit better, because we're going to be doing some work over here tonight. We got some serious stuff going on. I'm going to end up having to move the camera. Oh, hopefully you guys can still hear me. Can you still hear me? Hopefully y'all can still hear me and everything is well. And trying to get you guys going here. Let me get caught up on all the chat. Oh. All right, so most of the chat was like, can't hear you, yes, okay. Huh. Yeah, I was still warm, sorry. Sorry I got the sound. Just Michael Dallins here, Jerry McDaniel. Melissa said we can hear you now. Bright, oh wow. Blue Blade. You're talking about the Fallen, I can't wait. So did, I'm trying to, what does MiCom use now? Proffie? But Adrian, no, it's going to be using a Teensy 4.0. But it will be on the Proffie OS. Hey, Rashimoto. Oh, yeah. Well, sorry you didn't get a notification. Israel. So Israel said, wow, saw a Sabre. So let you know it's there. Okay, cool. So I'm loud and clear. I'm getting ready to move the camera over here to the workbench because I got a bunch of stuff to show you tonight. But I was kind of trying to get caught up on the chat. But yeah, we're trying to work on a new version of MiCom right now. and it's going to be running on the new Proffie OS, and it's an experimental mode, but we're working on a new version. So yeah, the MiCom is a work in progress. So I want to get to a question, so I'm going to have to screen share a little bit. Last week, Max and Israel were both asking about Bluetooth operation of lightsabers, and we talked about, you know, some of the Bluetooth modules that are available, and here's one. I'm going to show it on a better camera here in a second. But this is the one Frederick suggests, which is the Red Bear Nano V2, and it has to be programmed in Arduino. And then this is the one that works with Dimitri's app, which this is a BT 909, I believe, from PhysiCom, and that's what they look like. They're really small, but they're also very difficult to wire. Now, yep, that's his Graphic Supreme. So, what I want to do is get on there. Hey, Jared. Yeah, man. That's what we do every Monday night. We talk to each other. The funny thing is, a lot of the regular visitors, they end up talking to each other in chat while I'm yapping. And then I try to get caught up with what y'all are talking about and join in on the conversation. And that's how these things usually progress. And it gives me ideas always for the next week. But I wanted to show you guys something. So I'm going to go back to Windows Share. And this is for Max, because Max asked the other week, he asked, well, where's the program for the Bluetooth control on a Proffie? So I'm going to go to the Proffie webpage V2, and I know Max is having issues with his Proffie tonight. But when you go to the Proffie board V2 page, and hopefully you guys can see the screen address up there. Let me go and make sure I'm in screen share, and I am, so sweet. So hopefully you guys are seeing this. And when you get to the Proffie page, you scroll down a little bit, and where it says what you will need, and then you get to this optional Bluetooth add-on, that's a link. Click that link. So here's Teensy Saber Bluetooth control, and it shows you how to wire it on a Teensy Saber, but I'll go back and show you something in a second here. But the actual app is right here. Click here to run and or install it. And I install it on my phones, and I'm not going to be able to show it to you on my phone because I'm using my phone. But I did install the app on my phone, but that's where you get it, right here. That's where you get the app. It's right there on the Proffie board page. Now, let's go back, because he does show how to wire the Red Bear Nano V2 on the Proffie board page. So if you go down here to the configurator and you say, okay, well, I want a Bluetooth control on my lightsaber, Frederick shows you how to wire that. And as you can see, that's the same module I showed you just a second ago, which I'm going to show it on a better camera here in a second. I'm transitioning as I'm yapping. So hopefully we'll be able to show you guys stuff here in a second. Let's go back to the scene. Bam. All right. So now on a different camera, let me get this out of the way. And let me make sure I'm not going to trip over this wire. I'm going to have to figure out something to do with that. And here we are on the bench. And hopefully I have a better way to show y'all. I'm trying to get that wire out of the way. This is the Red Bear Nano V2. This is the little Bluetooth device that Frederick suggested. It's what was on the page that I showed y'all a second ago. It's actually not that huge, Max. So this is the programming port that goes in. And what you do is you unplug this once you program it. And the only board you have is this little board. And you desolder all these pins and get rid of them. You desolder these pins and pull them out of the hole. So all you're left with is this little board, which can fit pretty much anywhere. Yes, it's a little bit bigger than a lot of the other stuff, but it's a cool system. It works. That's what's in this saber. In fact, I'll show you where it's at in this saber. And this is my Dark Force Sabers Transcendence. And I basically had to cut up this chassis so it would fit. There it is. There it is in this saber, so you guys can see it in there. That's my Bluetooth module in that saber. basically, Melissa, what this does is it's a little bitty soundboard, an electronic soundboard. I'm terribly sorry, Melissa. I'm trying to keep up with y'all's chat. But it's a little micro soundboard that transmits Bluetooth to your phone. So you can actually control your lightsaber with your cell phone. And this is something that's fairly unique to Proffie and CFX. I'm not sure if Global, Golden Harvest, or the Verso can do that. But at any rate, that is the Bluetooth module and how they work and where you get the software for them. So do you have any other questions about that, Max? About the Bluetooth stuff? Jared says, do awesome work, new to smithing and hope to get to your caliber soon. I'm just a schmo with a soldering iron, Jared. We all start somewhere. I don't know if Frederick's app will work with these VT 909s or not. I'm sure you got one of these PhysiComs. And, you know, for size comparison, there's the PhysiCom next to the Red Bear Nano V2. They're both, you know, fairly small. The PhysiCom is a little bit narrower, but the Red Bear Nano V2 is a little bit shorter. The Red Bear Nano V2 is a lot easier to wire. I don't know if you guys can see, but the pads to wire to on these PhysiComs are very difficult. The only way I've found to wire to these PhysiComs is under a the Bluetooth I got. Where can I get the programming chip? Oh, we'll see you, Michael Dallin. The programming chips I got came with the Red Bear Nano V2s. If you got a PhysiCom, it doesn't need to be programmed. They should come programmed already. The PhysiComs, these work with Dimitri's app, but these Red Bear Nano V2 work with Frederick's app, and I don't think these PhysiComs work with Frederick's app. So hopefully that answers all your questions about Bluetooth and your options there. I like Frederick's app on Bluetooth. That's what I use, and it's no problem for me. Does that answer all those questions? No, Melissa, but I'm kind of like over here on the bench, so I'm working on my workbench right now, and the computer's kind of at an angle, so I can't see y'all's comments instantaneously. When wiring a kill switch without a recharge port, there's a question from Bion. Do you just wire the positive to the kill switch and the negative, battery negative, directly to the board? No. On a kill switch, let me break one out, and we'll show you. And I've got a couple different kinds here. This is your typical, well, let me find a new one. Standby. I know I got, oh, Lord have mercy. I tipped over the camera. All right. Standby. So, here's two recharge ports. This is a Switchcraft recharge port. And basically, there's three legs on these recharge ports, as you can see. And this is like a cheap Saber Forge offset 2.1 millimeter recharge port. And basically, one of these goes to battery positive, one's to battery negative, and one of them's cut off when you insert a kill key or a recharge plug into it. And the one that's cut off is your negative to your board. So your negative to your battery goes to one, and your negative to your board goes to the other one. And you have to figure out which one gets cut off. I use a multimeter. I have a video on my channel that explains how to diagnose those. Yeah, kill key, Melissa, is what we're talking about. I'm showing a recharge port on the video. Force Sync app works with that. I don't think the Force Sync app works with the Red Bear Nano V2, but it might. I'm not sure. The high-amp kill switch that goes back and forth. Okay, so what you're talking about is an actual switch. Stand by. Let me pull out a switch. And we'll talk about switches here real quick, and then we got to get back on the real subject matter. Stand by one. Let's see. I should have switches, right? Might have some in here. Any toggle switches in there. Wasn't really ready to talk about switches tonight, but I don't have any pull out. There should be one in here somewhere. Oh, stand by. All right. So these kind of switches. Is this what you're talking about, Bion? This kind of switch? Is that what you're talking about? The toggle back and forth? Because if that's the kind of switch you're talking about, the Proffie diagram shows how to hook on those switches, and basically you want to interrupt the positive circuit to your board. Now, I run my positive battery direct to the, okay, there's a lot of different ways to do that. There's no best way, but in my opinion, you should run your positive direct to a recharge port if you've got one, and directly to your NeoPixel strip, and your positive to your board you should interrupt with that switch. So in other words, you put the switch in between, on a jumper, in between the board and your positive wire. It's in the manual like that, and if you pull it up, stand by, I'll show you. When you go, I'm going to do a screen share again, y'all, and when you go to Frederick's page, and you say, okay, I'm on Proffie 2.2, and let's say I want to add in a kill switch, and you add in the kill switch, so you can see he's got the battery positive wired direct to the recharge port and to the NeoPixels, but the positive that goes to the board here is interrupted by the switch. So that's how Frederick suggests wiring in the switch, and that's probably what you should do too. So let's go back to the scene. And Melissa, a lot of this stuff that I'm getting ready to show is going to be uber small, and I'm not so sure how productive it's going to be for you to see it, but I'll try and describe stuff as good as I can, because I'm getting ready to bring in the big kahuna. Hey, Fat 263, hopefully I showed your video at the beginning of mine while I was transitioning scenes, but I wanted to show your battle mode, because we're going to be talking about that, and we're going to roll. TRA decided with my switch the light up feature would take away from the tactile feedback, so they're deciding on a button that clicks instead, so it'll be tactile instead. Well, that's interesting that you're talking about that, Melissa, because that is the next subject matter we're going to talk about, are switches, because I have a lightsaber and I've got some switch engineering solutions, and I want to talk about switches. So this is a tactile switch, and it's called tactile because it gives tactile feedback. You can hear it clicking when you touch it, and it's a tactile switch. So I have a slight problem tonight, is I am getting ready to build a saber, and I'm getting ready to pull it out and show you guys. Bam! Ooh, look out. This one. And y'all know the saber I'm talking about, so it's kind of a secret, so we need to be kind of quiet about it. But I'm going to take it apart and get down to the nitty-gritty. Oh, Enoch Root. And I'm going to pull out the chassis, and the speaker section broke off. We'll have to talk to Smuggler's Outpost about that. And then on this lightsaber, inside, these are the two switches, this button and this button. And what happens inside, if you look, you can see those plungers going down, and they're what activate your button. So the quandary is, this chassis is designed to hold the buttons, but which buttons do I use in here? There are so many questions on my YouTube channel about, hey, which buttons go in my lightsaber? And I'm like, well, that's a good question. Who knows? And who knows tonight? Let's find out. So, and let me turn on my soldering iron and get it warming up while we're sitting here yapping. Need to add some water to my sponges here. But add some water to my sponges because we're getting ready to do some soldering work here. Let's try this switch. So this switch is pretty small, and maybe that'll work. So let's put that sucker in here, if it'll fit, just like that. And let's try to put that in the lightsaber and see if that will work. Oh, wow, it doesn't even fit down past there. So the smallest normal tactile switch I have is too small. Hey, Chet Osborne. So the smallest tactile switch I have in this assortment is still too big. So I think we're going to go to some SMD type switches. I have an assortment of them, and they're very, very tiny. Very tiny. You can see them. And let's try one of these flush SMD switches. I'm going to try and get 2 of them out here. And I need both of them to be the flush type here. I'm going to take a guess and hope it's going to be those smallest ones, because it really looks like I need to pick the smallest switch to go in this chassis, and that's what we're going to do. What chassis you have in your Transcendence? I have the Dark Force Custom Sabers chassis in that Transcendence, Jared. You can also order that from Dark Force Custom Sabers. And I did have to hone it out so it fit the 28mm speaker, and also one battery wouldn't quite fit in there, and I had to do some honing on that. Yeah, I know, Melissa. Whoa, you should see how small these switches are because of your straining. Yeah, I'm sighted and I'm straining. Normally I have to look at these switch installs in under a microscope. In fact, we're getting ready to go on a microscope, but even with the microscope, I think it'll still be tough for you, Melissa. But right now I'm trying to orient this stupid switch in this thing. Welcome to a live video, where the best laid plans of mice and men go to hell in a handbasket. But there are these 2 switches inserted into that chassis, and they're very tiny. And now you can see that they're totally hidden. And let's send them home the hill and see what we got. So I'm going to send this chassis home. I'm going to press this button. Ooh, I got tactile reaction on that button. And I got tactile reaction on that button. So those are the buttons we're going to use. That's awesome. Now, we need to get to soldering. Now that we know those are the buttons we're going to use, I'm going to bring in the handy dandy helping hands. And we're also going to bring in, oh yeah, this is going to be crazy. Now we're getting ready to go to something else. I'm going to bring you all onto the scope while I attempt, and I mean attempt, to solder the wires on these buttons. It's going to be an adventure. And you guys are coming with me. And it's going to be a disaster. And I'm going to try to get these under the scope so you guys can see them. And I'm going to try and solder the wires for these things. It's going to be a disaster. And let me switch to the scope. Stand by. Let me get it in focus. Stand by one, everybody. I'm trying to work on this live. All right. I think I got one of them going. So stand by. I'm getting ready to switch y'all's view over to the scope so you guys can see what's going on. So I'm going to go to Windows Share, and then we're going to go to my scope. And I'm going to put this widescreen so hopefully y'all can see this. Now, I'm not going to be able to read the chat while I'm doing this, but what I'm going to do now is I'm going to strip one of my wires, and this one's going to be white, so we're going to make this ground. And a lot of people ask about these switches. By the way, we're looking through a microscope here. Y'all saw how small those switches are, so the fact that y'all are seeing that leg just shows that, you know, we got something crazy going on here, and it's called magnification. So, Melissa, when you talk about you could hardly see what we were looking at there, yeah, well, people with sighted eyes can't see that stuff either. And, you know, it's tough for us to see, so I actually have to solder this stuff while I'm looking through a magnifying glass. And now I need solder. And let me get my solder down. Bring my solder in, and hopefully that didn't screw with our picture too much. Now I'm going to bring some solder in here. Y'all are going to see it here in a second. Hopefully. Well, that tip don't want to butter. Let's clean her up. Wipe it with some water. Hit it with flux. Hit it with some solder. And I'm going to pre-tin my wire, and I'm gonna come in here and try, oops, that's gonna screw up y'all's view, isn't it? I don't even know if that came out, if y'all saw that or not. But there is one wire on, and that's not the greatest soldering job in the world, so let's try to hit that again. And I'm trying to do this where y'all are not losing sight of the camera. There. There's the soldering job. Hopefully you can see that on the camera. Normally I don't like to leave that much wire stripped off there, and I'll go back and clean this up in a second. But this is just live. And I definitely stripped too much wire, so on my next one, I'm not going to strip as much wire. I'm just going to strip a little bit. And, you know, hopefully I'll get back to the chat here in a second and see what y'all are saying, but this is some crazy stuff going on here. We're soldering little micro switches live. And I don't know anybody who's really willing to do this, but we're doing it. We're making it happen. And I'm tinning up my next wire that's getting ready to go on. And let me trim it up. And then I'm going to try and sap it on. Let me try to do it in a way that y'all can see it. Stupid thing. So small. Alright, here we come. I'm going to try and pull this off. Oh, ah, dang it. My hand was blocking it. And the wire. Stand by. There you go. Bada bing. Micro switch wired. Stand by. We're getting out of that view. And we're going back to the scene. Oh yeah, that's mega zoomed in, Melissa. That's way small. So yeah, it's really crazy, Melissa. I mean, you really have to use, you know, a small camera. Let me get this camera out of the way, and you can see the switch I was just working on, so you guys can see it's no joke to how small that is. So the soldering I just did is at the tip of my helping hands. Here. That's how small that switch is. You know, this is lightsaber work. You really want to do this stuff? There you go. You know, there's my switch that I just soldered. That is mega, mega small. And we're going to put this on a voltmeter here and test it. So I did a video about testing these switches. And, you know, that video is on my YouTube channel in the tutorial section. Right now I'm going to strip a section of these wires. We can actually put this in the saber and test it. We're going to test it outside the saber first to make sure I didn't, you know, burn up the switches or something crazy. But this is actually the preliminary wiring of this saber. And I'll show you what I do. I'm crazy about testing. It's like every time I'm wiring something, I'm testing. Oh yeah, it's teeny. Very teeny, Melissa. It's smaller than, you know, my pinky nail. I mean, it's very, very tiny. So now I'm going to take out my multimeter and I'm going to put it in audible continuity test mode. And what happens there is when I touch the probes, we get a tone. I don't know if y'all can hear that. Let me be quiet so you guys can hear the tone when I touch the probes together. All right. So now we got that working. What we're going to do is we're going to connect one probe to one switch wire. And we're going to connect the other probe to the other switch wire. And then we're going to depress the switch. All right, so I know I didn't screw up the wiring. Now, here comes the really crazy part. Let me get this multimeter out of the way here for a second. And I'm going to pull out the chassis. I'm going to dump out those switches. And I'm going to put in this one. And we're going to see if this switch actually works. We're doing this live on Megtooth Monday on a Thursday. So it's kind of crazy. Oh, look, my wire came off. That's the thing about these switches, man. Those solders are fragile. So stand by. I'm going to have to re-solder that one. Those solders are just so damn, these switches are just so fragile. Stand by. You get to see my full-on shaky hands without a microscope trying to solder this thing, because I'm not going back under scope. I'm just going to solder this sucker. Let's go in there. Shaky hands. Shaky hands. Looks like I still pulled it off. So I'm going to put the ground wire in the left front hole. Stand by. Oh yeah, it's thundering here because Hurricane Sally, which hit the Gulf Coast of Alabama, and I got family down there, is hitting here now. The remnants of the hurricane are actually hitting here in Wilmington right now, so it's thundering and lightning and raising cane. So I'm going to put these two wires down into the chassis, and hopefully I don't break any solder joints. And let's get this switch down in there. That's what we're hoping for. And bada bing. So there's the switch with the wires connected. So now we're going to send this switch with our connected wires into the hilt and see if we got tactile feedback, which we do. And now, here comes the moment of truth. I'm bringing back in the multimeter on audible test mode. And we're going to clip onto one wire with one probe and clip onto the other wire with the other probe. And stand by, having some issues here. And let's see what we get. Success. Oh yeah. So that's how I begin wiring switches. Now, the cool thing about this white wire is it's common ground on the switch, and I can actually connect both the switches to that one ground, and eventually I'll be commenting up the grounds inside there. So we'll only have one white wire coming out, and I generally wire my aux switch with the yellow wire, and I usually wire my main switch with a green wire, but that's the beginning of this saber. And that's going to be pretty awesome, and we know we already got the power switch wired up. That's cool. I'm going to be doing a stock connector in that, so it's pretty awesome. Now, if Israel's still here, let me show you something real quick, Israel. So your Supreme Grapplex again came in today. Here she blows. And I just wanted to show you something cool, is that this chassis, which worked in a Grapplex 2.5, I believe I'm going to be able to make it work inside the 89 Grapplex. So if you want this chassis, we'll throw her in your 89 Grapplex and we'll make it happen. Just let me know and we'll make that happen. But that's pretty exciting news for Israel. And I'm going to put the camera back up on the stand here and get into normal chat with you guys in just a second, because we're finished doing all that soldering nonsense and yappity yap. And well, anyway, Israel, you got to see it. So that's cool. I'm glad you got to see your stuff tonight. Now, hey, when I played Fernando's video, did it show it or what? Did it play? Could you guys hear the battle mode? So, no, y'all are behind. Let me go over to, I'm going to go over to Windows Share. I'm going to go back into YouTube and not that, and standby. 210, skip ad, stop. Let me pause it there. And let me get on Windows Share while I'm transitioning scenes. Sweet. I'm going to show it again for anybody that missed it, because I want to talk about this when I get the camera changed. But I'm just going to put this video on for y'all's viewing pleasure for those that didn't get to see it while I'm changing the camera view, because trust me, you guys don't want to be watching that as I'm doing it. So let's go watch that video again. This is battle mode from Fernando. Check that mess out.
button for lockup. It's now going to be controlled by gesture. So if you clash sabers and pull away from your opponent, it's going to do a clash effect. So it'd be like, so you get a clash effect. But if you clash sabers and you keep your saber relatively still, it'll actually do a lockup. So no more holding buttons. It's just going to be based on. But then when you take it away from the floor, it deactivates. So no buttons. It's all gesture controlled. And now melt will just be a stab. So you can stab an object, and you can use the responsive melt. But when you take it away from the wall, then it deactivates. So the battle mode coming to OS 5 is going to have the all fully responsive effects. So everything works with fully responsive.
Oh, I hate to do it to you, Fernando, but you guys get the gist. So I'm back on.
Lockup for
Hopefully you guys can hear me now. So we should be back on. And so yeah. So Fernando's battle mode and the lockup on those sabers, doing gesture-based lockup, gesture drag, gesture melt, is light years ahead of anything else. I think it's an incredible addition to the OS. And by the way, copyright Vet 263. Thanks, Fernando, for the network time filler while I was getting my camera off the workbench and bringing it back up here so everybody didn't get seasick. But, Fernando got some crazy stuff there. What do y'all think about Fernando's work there with the gesture? Oh, yeah. Anytime, Jared. A lot of Jared, the funny thing about building lightsabers is when I first got started, Shamim and Alaska Vader and a bunch of guys that I was watching, I couldn't have done this without them. And, Shamim bowed out and Alaska Vader bowed out. Now Birchie's bowed out. And, it was always helpful for me. I'm a visual learner and I learn by videos. I don't learn so good reading about stuff. That's why I'm not a coder like Fernando. Fernando's a genius with coding. I'm not so good at coding, but I can visualize stuff and I can paint stuff and I can see where I want to go with stuff. But to me, it's important for, people like, Fernando and others in the community to, share what they know, share what they do, and in a way that others can learn from it. So that when I decide to bow out or get out of saber building or I don't want to do it anymore, which I doubt that's going to happen, but if it does, at least there's somebody else there waiting in the wings. So, Jared, you could be the next, Shamim, for all I know. And if I have any part of making the next Shamim, then to me, I've done a good job. That's pretty awesome. So, yeah. That's pretty crazy. So I'm sorry, I had all this planned out on Monday, and I'm sorry the audio didn't work out at the beginning of the video tonight. I feel like a horse's butt about that. But, I wanted to show you all what MiCom was and what its capabilities were. And, things got a little crazy. I was trying to put on, a quarter of my Kylo Ren costume, and I just had my cape and my hood and my helmet and the voice changer and the MiCom and trying to get the video started. It was crazy. But, the OS 5.xx and some of the stuff that Fernando's adding, and maybe MiCom, which we're going to be using Teensy 4.0 and the Teensy audio shield on there. And I think we're using the Proffie OS. And it could really make for a cool or cooler MiCom device. And that's the hopes. But it's all experimental right now. It's in development, and who knows where it's going to go. But yeah, MiCom is another venture. But of course, now MiCom's all going to be open source. Anybody can build one, but there's still a lot of people that can't build the components on it. And that's where I come in, and I can build all the components for somebody that wants one of those things. But that was a pretty crazy show there, and we got a lot of stuff done. I actually got to do a soldering demonstration. You guys got to see me soldering under scope, and then you got to see me have to fix one without using the scope. And you saw, even with my shaky hands, I'm still capable of, hitting solder on those little tiny SMD buttons. And the funny thing is about these SMD buttons is they are so tiny. I don't know that camera over there did it justice, but there is a little micro button on the tip of my finger. That's how small they are. That is crazy. I'm going to try and hold that up to the screen so Melissa can see it. It's insane how small these switches are. They're smaller than my fingertip. But the bottom line is that, we pulled that off tonight, and that's pretty cool. And if I can do it, you can do it. Yeah, I know. If we had plasma blades, the work Fernando's done. I know that Frederick's doing a lot of work behind the scenes, but the work Fernando's doing within the OS and the blade styles and the gesture controls that he's working on and the automatic features. Nobody's thinking about this stuff. Fernando's so fanatic about Star Wars and lightsabers that, he's thinking about this stuff and he's making things happen that I didn't even imagine. Who would imagine that was possible? I remember with Spark and, Nana Biscotti, you didn't even have lockup. And you had lockup with Prism and Crystal Focus, but those were high-dollar boards. And then, Teensy Saber came along, and you had lockup on Teensy Saber, but it was only the high value boards you could get those features on, and then you still had to press a button to get it. And now Fernando's got it using gestures so that you don't even have to push a button to get it. It's amazing. It is amazing. Yeah, I use Fernando's styles in a lot of my sabers, and I just want to say something because, for those that didn't see it, Jeff Birch, HexX Sabers, he quit his YouTube channel the other day, and I wanted to comment on there, and I didn't make it on there in time because, work, life, but I'm going to miss HexX Sabers videos and Jeff's, Jeff's mentality that he brought into the community. Paying it forward. I've never been as obsessed as Jeff was about the latest and greatest sabers that are coming out. I think, Melissa, he just wanted to concentrate on his family, and I think he caught himself up in, saber obsession a little bit, where he always had to see the newest thing before anybody else did. And I think he thought that was detracting from his family time and also driving him nuts. And, I can understand that. I push back from sabers quite a bit. I come in and see y'all once a week. I try when I can. And, I'm building sabers as I can, but I'm not building a lot of them. Some of these guys are churning out 5-6 sabers a week. I can't do that. I work full time. I've got to have some time to spend with Ukulele Girl and Jen. And, I don't have time to build sabers all the time. So I understand where Jeff is at. I just wished, I wish he didn't totally quit like that. But he kind of pulled a Shamim. He's pulling his YouTube channel down, but he's still going to be around. There was one thing I know about Birch is that he ain't going to quit lightsabers. He loves lightsabers, and he loves Star Wars. So I think he'll still be around the community. He just won't be so immersed in it. But I think it's important. I'm going to miss Birch. I think Birch and I have a lot in common outside of lightsabers and outside of YouTube and all this crazy nonsense. I think Jeff and I have quite a bit in common. So I'm going to miss having him around all the time. He's still going to be around. He's just not going to be as prominent as he was. But it's pretty cool. Yeah, I know, Melissa. I know you're a tactile learner, and I know you need descriptions. And some of these videos that I do, Melissa, on this channel are really tutorials aimed at helping people to learn how to build their own sabers. And some of those tutorials are going to be awfully small for you to see. For those that don't know, Melissa has visual impairment, and she's legally blind. And, we're building a lightsaber for her now on TRA, which I saw, Melissa, where you posted that the the chassis wasn't ready yet. You didn't have any updates on that. And I'm really sorry all that's happening, which, by the way, I think all that's related to the Darksaber stuff that's going on. But I'm not going to talk about that on the YouTube video. But there's definitely some other stuff going on. Yeah, Jared, that's what these things are for. Every Monday I try to do these things, and if you have some ideas, bring them on, run them by me. Send me an email with some pictures, and I'll present your stuff on here. One of these, right, totally blind in her left eye, and her right eye is 2200 with no peripheral. But yeah, I'm sure COVID-19's messed everything up, Melissa. But I think there's some other things going on too in the Saber community. But I'm not going to discuss them on here because I'm trying to keep this upbeat. There's nothing wrong with Scarecrow. Scarecrow's a great installer. There's a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes right now that's unpleasant. But COVID-19 going on is not good for Sabers and shipping components and everybody being on lockdown. That's all been tough. But I don't know if I'm going to be able to do it this coming Monday, on this next Monday live. I haven't really made a plan for this Monday because it's only going to be like 4 days from now. So we'll be live again on Monday on our same bat time, same bat channel. If my internet holds up, screw Spectrum. We'll talk about that in a second. But, I think the week after next, I'm going to do some font demonstrations for Kyberphonics. I'm going to fill up one of my Sabers with a bunch of Kyberphonic fonts and show off what his fonts are capable of doing, hopefully with some gesture controls. But that's probably not going to be this coming Monday. It'll be the Monday after that, and I still have to talk to Jesse and do some work with Jesse. And I may even do one with K-Sith or anyone else. Yeah, well, we can thank COVID for all the crazy stuff that Fernando's been able to accomplish. Oh yeah, Jesse, and Jesse was on. I didn't even know Jesse was on here. But yeah, we're gonna do font night. And it's probably not gonna be this Monday, Jesse, because I'm gonna need time to dump all those fonts into my Saber, and you and I need to talk about that offline, which we will. But I'll get that one Saber programmed up, and we'll do a font night. Not this coming Monday, but the Monday following. So today is what? Today is the 17th. So probably like September 28th, Jesse, is what I'm thinking. September 28th is what I'm shooting for the font demonstration videos, and kind of show people what these things can do. And that's kind of what I'd like to shoot for. And that'll be a good video for you to watch, Melissa, on the 28th, because it'll be mostly sound and audio descriptions of what you're hearing. So that'll be really good for Melissa because she's, tactile and audio. And the audio would be really good for Melissa, and I think it'd be really good for a lot of the other users to see, what capabilities are out there. And I'll show off some of the stuff that Fernando and SA2CC and Dimitri Stock and Frederick have done. It'll be on this channel, Melissa. It'll be on my Megtooth Monday, and it won't be this coming Monday, but the following, I believe the 28th. But yeah, I want to demo some of Jesse's fonts. I don't demo a lot of Jesse's fonts on my live videos, but if you guys watch my Saber videos on Sabers that I'm making and putting out, a lot of them are full of Kyberphonic sound fonts, and it's crazy because I'm on Jesse's site all the time buying fonts. And I think I bought a New Hope training, I don't know, 8 or 9 times, something crazy like that, because it's gone on a lot of my customer Sabers, stemming from a demo that I did on it. But the cool thing about a New Hope training by Kyberphonics is that now with Auto Blast feature on Proffie, you can really go crazy with the drone. It's incredible what can be done. With some imagination, and COVID goes away and we're back to trooping again. People that are trooping as Luke Skywalker with a Graflex powered by Proffie could get like a remote controlled drone, or have a drone held up and moving around with fishing line while they're deflecting the blast out of the training drone, and make it look pretty realistic and sound realistic through amplifiers. Because right now, Frederick and a bunch of others on the TRA are working on ways to port sound out of a lightsaber into an amplifier, for an audience. Because right now the little sound vents you get in a normal lightsaber, aren't very significant. There's the sound venting in this lightsaber, and you're just not going to get a lot of great sound out of these lightsabers as you can out of an amplifier that are receiving the sounds from the soundboard and playing them live with low latency as the saber's being swung and clashed and locked. And that's where the battle mode and a lot of the work that Fernando's done during COVID will be, really, really put on display. So I'm kind of looking forward to, 2 weeks from now and, a little bit over 2 weeks from now on the 28th when we'll do that Monday live video. On 28th. Monday the 28th, we'll schedule that to be tentative Chirophonic live video. Yeah, I know. I follow Alex Redmond and Prop AI Builders, and he does a lot of work in open source as well. Usually Alex is on this channel. Sometimes Max, he's on my Monday night videos. I forget what his screen name is, but he's usually copying me. Yeah, it's cool stuff. It's cool stuff what's going on. But that's been a pretty full night. I don't know what else we can do there. I'm sorry the audio was messed up at the beginning and I had to go back and redo it. That really sucks because that costume is hot, trying to fix my audio while I'm wearing all that stuff. But, yeah, he's on here. He usually comes on these Monday night vids or watches them and comments on them after they post. But at any rate, I really think that ready to wind this thing down. We did quite a bit tonight, and I thank you all for joining me as always. You remember, if you like my videos and I'm helping or giving you some insight into how to build lightsabers, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button and hit my notification bell so when I'm going live you get notifications. I'm sorry that a couple of y'all didn't get the notifications tonight that I was going live, but hopefully everybody got a little something from this and learned something or got to see something and got to see my shaky hands. And, if you see how bad my hands shake and I can do this, you can do it too. And I will see y'all on Monday. So we'll be back at this on Monday. And I'm not sure what I'll do Monday, but I'm sure I'll read questions on TRA and on the open source group, and we'll come up with a game plan for Monday. But you can see I got a lot of capabilities now back here to share screens and do a bunch of cool stuff. And we can do it live. And, I'm going to be wearing the NeoPixel adapter on this. Maybe we'll do that next week. I'm going to be using a stock lit connector on this saber that I'm building that I did the switch on tonight. So what I'll do is I'll finish the switches and then maybe we'll wire up the stock connector next week and we'll show soldering on that. But thank you all for stopping in. And, usually I'm on Monday nights at 8:30. And I'm going to sign off, and we'll see you next Monday at 8:30 p.m. or 20:30 for those who were in the military. Yeah, Bayan, no problem. Thank you, everybody. We'll see you in a couple of days on Monday. Thank you, everybody, for watching, as usual. I really appreciate y'all tuning in on my channel. And as always,
threads into the pipe the screw will grip to.
Okay, great.
Okay, what I'm going to do is I've got the device.